Hey, hi friends, welcome back to my channel. As you know, my name is Pranav Gandhi. I work as trainer and consultant. Total experience is 22 plus years. These are the various domains you can see on the left hand side just below my photograph, in which I have worked for all these 22 years. And some of the academics and certifications or credentials are also shared. Along with that, you can see on the same screen at the bottom, my LinkedIn profile is also mentioned over there, my email ID for communication, and even my contact number and WhatsApp number. Okay, so all this information, a brief information about me. I have already created one video about it, right? You can please search it on my channel. And now let us continue with today's discussion. And today we are going to discuss about, again, in the continuation, with the basic statistics for data science, and this is going to be the episode number 12. Of course, my Facebook page is also there. On this page I have mentioned, you can see this, so you can please go and if you are interested, you can like this page as well, so that you will be connected with me through all the means and medians. Okay, all right. So with the continuation of basic statistics for data science, we have total covered up around these many videos. The list of all the videos which I have posted or uploaded before this particular video is given over here on this slide, right from introduction to myself, then introduction to data science and what is machine learning, then basic tools which we are going to learn, like R programming and Python, right? So how to do how to download the tools to write those programs or codes. Okay, right from that beginning, right from that scratch, you may say that this particularly will be helpful for even those who are non-IT people or new to the programming world and want to change the career path, want to come into this data science world and all, or analytics and all, right? So for them, from very basics I am teaching. And when it comes to basic statistics, we have created the, from video number 6 you can see to video number 16, almost 10 11 videos we have created. So all these episode 1 2 3 4 5 6 up to 11, right? So we have already covered what is data types, what are data types, what is random variable, probability examples, probability distributions, all four moment of business decisions, right? The measurements, how to do that, then some of the plottings, right? And even the types of distribution and what is standard normal distribution, z-scores, so z distribution, etc., right? So all these videos have been already covered up. Okay, and it is going to be, so one who is new to this or watching this video for the first time, because it is in a continuation or series of videos we are creating to cover up the topic, I would request all those to please go through all the videos one by one, okay, so that you will get the connectivity. Okay, so today's topic we are going to discuss about sampling variation. What is sampling variation? First of all, what is sample, that we have already discussed. What is population, that we have already discussed. What are sample parameters, we have already discussed. What are population parameters, we have already discussed. And different types of distributions of the sample also we have already discussed. We have discussed random variable. So all this, why I am repeating so many times, because these words or terminologies I am going to use again and again and again and again throughout the curriculum. Now, why we are understanding this sampling variation? What is the idea behind that? Very simply, see, whenever we have a population, or whenever we have any sample, suppose this is my sample 1, and this is my sample 2. Now this consists 10, 20, 40, 87. These are some values. This sample contains 12, 17, 33, 91, right? Now, if I am saying that this is my sample 1 and this is my sample 2 and that is from only one population, then that population definitely consists of all these numbers. Right? And likewise, I may have different samples to cover up the population if the population having those many numbers. So when I say I'm going it in the reverse way, normally we go it in the reverse way, because as we have discussed already that the entire population information is very difficult to achieve. Example, we have seen like the population of the world, exact number nobody in the world can say that at this particular moment of time or point, okay, this is the exact number of people living on planet Earth. You cannot say that. Why? Because it's difficult to calculate, it's difficult to achieve, right? When somebody is taking birth, somebody is dying at the same time. You use technology whatsoever, right? But still you will not, because there are some people who are living in jungles, they are not exposed to technology even today. So it's very rare thing to, in fact it's impossible to achieve. Second example, you want to do a survey, in fact why do we do surveys? Because we cannot take the opinions of each and every person, right? And that is why survey comes into the picture. When survey comes, we have already seen in the topic of sampling frame or sampling funnel, right? In that we have discussed, when it comes to survey, how survey happens, how samples will be taken, how the logic will be derived, sampling frame will be derived, okay? And some of the techniques like random sampling will be done to take the opinions of some of the people, not all the people. Now, further to that discussion, we are continuing today with this sampling variation. Now, there are some important aspects to be understood when it comes to sampling variation. Let us take, this is my population. Suppose this 26, 32, 34 and 40, these four numbers are my confirmed population values, right? So when it comes to population, we say the entire information, okay? So currently I am having the entire information which is limited to these four numbers. Now from this, if I want to take a sample, okay, so assume population has four values as given below, and we have to take samples from it of unique size of two values. If I want to take samples of unique size of two values, then how many samples can I come up with? I can come up with 26 and 32, 26 and 34, 26 and 40, 32 and 40, 32 and 34 and 32 and 40, and of course 34 and 40. So 3 plus 2, 5 plus 1, 6. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So as I get these 6 samples, 6 unique two size samples from this population I can get. Now for every of this sample, can I have its own mean? Yes, definitely I can have. The mean of these two numbers is going to be 29. The mean of these two numbers is going to be 30. The mean of these two numbers is going to be 33. The mean of these two numbers is going to be 33 again. The mean of these two numbers is going to be 36, and the mean of these two numbers is going to be 37. 7. Now what we are trying to understand is, when a population is there, when we take different samples from that population, for that every sample we have a sample mean, which we denote normally by x bar, and population mean will be denoted by mu, right? So when we get these sample means for different samples from one same population, can we call it as a random variable? Now what is the definition of random variable? The definition of random variable is, now each of this mean has equal chance to be present in the population. Random and equal chance. Because anytime I will get two size samples from this population, I am going to end up with these samples only. Because of this fixed size of sampling for a particular population, my sample means for all these samples are going to be fixed. So I can have only these means. But then, like we have seen, when we roll a die, we have an equal opportunity for any number to come up when I roll a die, whether it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. If I roll a die to get number 4, the probability is 1 by 6. To get number 2, the probability is 1 by 6. So because there is an equal chance, so can I say the probability of me getting 29 as a sample mean is 1 by 6, or 30 as a sample mean is 1 by 6, or 33 as a sample mean is 1 by 6, again 33 as a sample mean of 1 by 6, 36 1 by 6, 37 1 by 6, right? All these values are having a same chance associated with them. Now from this understanding, can we make these three statements when it comes to sampling variation? Number one, sample mean varies from one sample to another sample. Of course, because the sample itself is changing, so the mean of the sample is going to change, right? It's going to vary. So I can say that the sample mean varies from one sample to another sample. My second statement is, sample mean can be and most likely different from the population mean. Now, what is the population mean over here? If you calculate the population mean for this population, it comes to 33. So my sample mean is most likely, sample mean can be and most likely different. Yes, this is different, this is different, this is different, this is different from the population mean, right? But most likely means I may get some of the sample means similar to my population mean, right? So with this statement also holds true. Now can I say a sample mean as a random variable? Yes, of course I can say sample mean as a random variable, right? Because we have already seen the definition of a random variable. Because there is some chance associated, with this 29 value, right? And there is randomness again, because you don't know which sample I will come up with, right? And that is why the sample mean is going to be my random variable. Now once we understand this varying samples and varying sample parameter values with the sampling variation, we are entering into very important theorem, and that is called central limit theorem, which is very important theorem when it comes to statistical analysis. This is called CLT, central limit theorem. So from sampling variation, now we can arrive at to make some more statements, right? The distribution of the sample mean will be, the distribution of the sample mean means we are talking about this sample mean, the distribution of sample means. Now we are going to discuss only about the sample means over here, right? So the distribution of the sample mean will be normal when the distribution of the population data is normal. And the second statement is, which is contradictory to this statement, the distribution of the sample mean will be approximately normal even if the distribution of the population data is not normal. But there is a condition attached to it, provided if the sample size is fairly large enough. So if my sample size is more, even though the distribution of the population is not normal, okay, I can say that, or I can have the distribution of the sample as normally distributed, right? So obviously अगर population normal distribution में है, normal distribution में है, तो sample अगर मैं कोई भी उठाऊंगा population से, तो उसका normal distribution ही मिलेगा मेरे को. But even if the distribution of the population is not normally distributed, still I may get the distribution of a sample having the normal distribution if the sample size is fairly large. How large? We will see in a moment from now. Right? So these are the two statements we have made. Now we are going to understand the sample mean, which means we are talking about mean of the sample mean, which means we are talking about the mean of this X double bar, you may say, right? So mean of a sample means, is always equal to mu. What is mu? Mu is my population mean, right? So mean of a sample mean, if you calculate the mean of these 29, 30, 33, 33, 36 and 37, it's going to be 33, which is same as population mean, always, right? So if I have a population, if I take a unique sample size from this population, and if I take the means of all those samples, okay, which becomes my random variable, right? So if I take the mean of these sample means, it is always going to be equal to my population mean. This is central limit theorem number 1. And obviously, because this is a random variable, I am saying again and again, I can, as I have calculated the mean of this random variable, I can also calculate the standard deviation of this random variable. So to calculate the standard deviation of sample means, okay, we use this formula. The standard deviation of a sample mean will be always equal to sigma upon root n, where sigma is nothing but population standard deviation, right? So sigma is this, the standard deviation of this population, and root n is nothing but the sample size. Now sample size for this is going to be 2, right? So if I want to calculate the standard deviation of this sample mean column, okay, the standard deviation for that will be sigma, that is population standard deviation, divided by root n. And this standard deviation of sample mean is referred as standard error of the mean. Is referred as standard error of the mean. So most of the times, you know, they use terminology standard error. How much is the standard error system? What is standard error? Standard error of the mean is nothing but the standard deviation calculated for the sample means, right? Which means, in simpler term to understand, the standard error of the mean estimates the variability between the samples. So if suppose I have 4 samples over here, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So all these 4 samples will be having x1 bar, x2 bar, x3 bar, x4 bar. What is these? x1, x2, x3 bars. These are my sample means. Now if I can call this as random variable, and if I put it in a column called sample mean, so x1 bar, x2 bar, x3 bar, x4 bar, like this, I can calculate the average for this and standard deviation for this. Now what they are saying is standard error of the mean estimates the variability between the sample means. It is calculating the standard deviation for sample means, which means between the samples what is the variation, right? So what is the variation from this mean to this mean for different sample? This is called as standard error of the mean which is standard deviation for sample means. And the standard deviation measures, if it is only standard deviation, then it measures the variability within a single sample. So as I explained just now, if there are 4 different samples, then one estimates the between variation and one estimate the within variation. So standard error of the mean estimates the between variation, and standard deviation estimates the within variation, within variation, within variation, within variation, right? So I can have, for these 4 samples, I can have one standard error of the mean but 4 standard deviations for different samples. Alright, so that's it for central limit theorem. And there is one more thing which we are going to understand today, which this slide actually I am going to explain it in very brief, because we have already seen it while understanding the skewness and kurtosis calculation or plottings, right? So because this is also attached with this, why? Because here we are mentioning the sample size approximately normal, even if the distribution of population data is not normal, provided if the sample size is fairly large enough. यानी कि even if my population data is not having a normal distribution, and if I take a sample from that, and if the sample size is large, then still I am going to have a normal distribution for that sample. So when I'm saying, if I'm taking a sample size, if I'm considering a sample size, how much it should be, then technically for calculation purpose, or what you can say, um, on the assumption basis, okay. And of course, why this 30? I'm going to explain that again in one of the other distribution, because everything is connected. The dots are, we are connecting the dots, right? So a sample size of 30 samples is generally considered as large enough. Sample size of 30 samples is generally considered as large enough samples, but that may or may not be adequate, right? So at times they may be adequate, but at times they may not be adequate. It depends on your business problem. So if you are working on, let's say, a nut and bolt manufacturing company, where maybe daily they are manufacturing 50,000 nuts and maybe 30,000 bolts, possible. But if your business problem is around dealing with manufacturing of railway coach, so that boxes where people sits, or even for what you can say, this material transport and all, the boxes required, goods transport, right? So how many coaches are being manufactured in a day or in a month? Very few, right? So under certain circumstances, you may go for 30 samples. Or maybe another example is launching satellites. So your analysis involves sampling of satellite launches. How many satellites are being launched, let's say, for India or even in the world? So it depends on business problem to business problem, that how many samples can be there, right? But then to decide upon how much sample size is adequate enough for my analysis purpose, there are some rules, okay. Some people are following these rules. That is why I am we have incorporated this. There are different rules as well, but these are couple of rules which we are going to look into. This is small n, sorry. So the rule number 1 is my n is my sample size should be greater than 10 multiplied by K3 square. Now what is K3? The skewness of that particular sample. Which particular sample? This sample. Now if I have 150 observations from a nut manufacturing company, right? So this 150 should be greater than 10 multiplied by, if suppose my skewness for this is let's say 5. So how much it will be? 5 square 25 into 10, which becomes 250. So is 250 greater? Is 150 greater than 250? No. Which means this sample size is not enough for me. So I need to improve upon this sample size and check back the skewness again for that improved sample size. Put it into this equation, and I will try this unless and until I am achieving this rule. Okay, I will keep trying and then arrive at a correct sample size. Similarly, if I don't want to use the skewness, I can use kurtosis as well. But for using the kurtosis, K4, I shall satisfy this condition. I shall satisfy this condition, right? So this is how sample size calculation will be done when it comes to analyzing the data before analyzing data, we need to arrive at the right sample size. Alright friends, so today we have discussed about sampling variation, central limit theorem and sample size calculation. In sampling variation, we have seen that for a given population, if we come up with a unique size samples, okay, then those samples will be fixed size, and for every sample will be there will be a sample mean, and each of that sample mean may vary from sample to sample, because sample itself are varying things, and that is why we are calling that as a random variable. When it comes to random variable, for any random variable I can calculate the mean and standard deviation of that samples or for that random variable. So here in this case, our sample mean is our random variable. So if I calculate the mean of that sample mean, that is always going to be equal to my population mean. That is rule number 1. And the standard deviation I am going to have within the sample mean, okay, is also called as standard error of the mean, can be calculated by using this formula. Sigma, which is population mean, divided by root n, which is n is nothing but my sample size. So in this particular calculation, the sample size was 2. Alright, so thank you very much friends for joining today's session. I wish you all the best, and if you like the session, please like the video, okay, hit the like button, and if you are new to the channel, watching this for the first time, not subscribed yet, subscribe my channel first and click the bell icon so that you will get the alert or notifications every now and then whenever I am uploading new informative videos. And do share your feedback and suggestions, not only for this video but any video you watch, okay. You can share your thoughts, share your feedbacks, suggestions by directly commenting on YouTube videos or the other mediums. As I said, you can contact me on LinkedIn. You can also comment, because the same videos will be also posted on Facebook page, because many of the people not regularly use YouTube, so probably some of them are active on Facebook, some of them are active on LinkedIn, okay. So everywhere I am posting this video, you can comment me directly on that for any suggestion, feedback and review you want to mention. And of course my WhatsApp number is also mentioned on my Facebook page, and all this information of my communication is I'm going to put it into the description of not only this video but each and every video, right? So that's it for today. Thank you very much guys. Bye bye, see you, take care.